Hey guys, Pablo with Meditation Amsterdam, and this is my fourth video in a row, day after day. So I think it's a personal record. Not that I'm trying, but stuff just keeps coming up in my head that I want to share. And in today's video, I want to share with you a thought that occurred to me last night, which I nicknamed the Russian doll approach to acceptance or surrender. And to do that, I have, as usual, my whiteboard, and I'm going to paint a picture for you, which is related to this week's theme of, let's say, processing pain, acceptance, and all those kind of things. So we start with what you could call an event. And that event, I'm going to paint that event in black because as per the video that I made yesterday, events are neutral. So I'm not going to give it a color to show that, it's neither good or bad. And yet what happens is because that event triggers discomfort in our system because of either bodily pain or mental anguish, it reminds us of something subconsciously, whatever. What happens is that we assign a bad reaction to this event characterized by the typical sad smiley. Okay, so we say it's bad. This is essentially what's happening, and this reaction is immediate, right? You haven't even thought about it or whatever. You just go, ugh. You're displeased with this situation right here. Very good. So event reaction is a single occurrence. It's a you can't, unless you've done a lot of work in which you can literally pause as the event is happening and see it from a third person perspective or whatnot. This reaction is automatic, so this is a single event. So there you have it. What happens afterwards, though, is that there is a subconscious response, or let's call it again a reaction to this situation right here, to this bundle called event reaction. And if the initial guttural reaction to the event is negative, unless you have done some work on yourself, the subconscious reaction to that bundle, that initial bundle, is also going to be negative. All right? So now we have ourselves another layer of reaction and negativity going on here, which, kind of compounds the situation. And then maybe, for a couple of days you wrestle with you're going around being annoyed and pointing at the situation as the culprit for your nuisance or you name it. And at some point you become consciously aware that, so this is, you could call this over here like the deep subconscious, you could call this the subconscious, and now the next one is going to be a conscious reaction that is negative to this entire thing. It's like, I dislike this whole damn thing, right? Now, I dislike what happened. I dislike the way I responded to it. I dislike. All right, so we go here, and you've got another layer of resistance, right? Now, and you could even, in a fully conscious manner, dislike the fact that you dislike all of the above, or all of the below in this case, right? So you know what? I hereby decide, I actively decide, I'm going to dislike this entire thing. And on it goes, right? Now, couple of things to mention at this point. One of them is that as you go in this direction, this is time, right? So time moves in this direction. And because that is the case, every layer of resistance to the previous one is a layer of resistance to the memory of the previous one. In other words, the event happens in an instant, and the reaction also happens in an instant, that first guttural reaction. And then the subconscious reaction happens kind of to the memory of those two. And then the semi-conscious dislike of this entire bundle of things that is happening here is now happening to the memory of that bundle, which gets, and then the fully conscious, I don't want this, is happening to, this fully conscious thing believes that it's happening against the event, but really it's happening to this entire bundle here, as a matter of fact, right? Now, so that's why I call it the Russian doll model, because so in this Russian doll is a Russian doll of resistance. You are resisting your resistance to the resistance of the event, right? And this could go on forever. And if it does go on forever, what could have been a blip on the radar becomes so a kind of upset becomes a mood becomes a funk becomes almost a personality trait. You could become a depressed person or an angry person if you keep going in this direction. So it perpetuates unless it's resolved, and typically it's not resolved. Typically it's just kind of repressed and kind of just left in there to blow up anytime something reminds you of this original episode. But as you start to work on your mindfulness practice, what you can do is you can find a way to hijack this process. Yeah. Now it's very difficult to hijack it at this level, but maybe you could hijack it at this level or this one. And as you get better at it, you learn to hijack it at any stage at which you sit on this scale, right? So at first, you could come in here, and see, this is going to be the beauty of this whole thing. If you have just about enough mindfulness to days after in your meditation say, you know what? I hereby accept my resistance to the resistance, to the resistance, to the resistance, to the resistance. This level of acceptance here turns the entire thing into an accepted situation. Ain't that cool? So you've gone from this meta level, see, and maybe you cannot gutturally accept it just yet. And this one is invisible to you. And maybe you are not able to accept that you notice your resistance to the whole thing. But maybe you are just about able to accept the fact, not even to change, just to accept the fact that you have actively decided to dislike the entire thing. And that is a level of acceptance already. It's not the most ideal one, right? But it is a level of acceptance. And it starts to erode this entire thing, right? From the outside in. As your practice progresses, you are able to apply acceptance at what used to be an earlier and more subconscious level of the situation, right? And you get closer and closer to this stuff until you come to terms with the very fact of things that are happening as they're happening, right? So what used to be a baddie is now a goodie, and so on. Now, two takeaway from this. One takeaway is that your resistance compounds and keeps compounding and keeps getting perpetuated until on some level, even the most superficial level of saying, yes, I hereby decide to be really pissed off about it, and I come to full terms with my decision to be really pissed off, that already gives you this, and from here you can then start to penetrate the situation and its layers, right? So you come to terms with whatever is the level at that moment. No matter which level it is, you accept it exactly for what it is. And that is what enables you to then go inward and to accept all the way through. Cannot be done otherwise. You cannot go from this one here and say, you know what, I'm going to go all the way to the past and resolve, because you haven't come to terms with this level of unacceptance. So you need to accept this one first. Accepting of non-acceptance creates overall acceptance. And the other takeaway is that as you do the work, you become better at it. So you don't have to create this entire Russian doll of unacceptance or lack of surrender in the situation. You start becoming better at accepting on the spot. So that this is, for a single situation, this is the picture. But as situations unfold all the time, being here means that you are accepting all the time in real time. Whereas being here means that you are very clunky at it and you take a long time to accept, because as we said, this is time. So so it's acceptance all the way through, and as soon as you can, and of whatever is up, including your own resistance. For if the event can't be accepted, accept the fact that you reject the event. If you can't accept the fact that you reject the event, accept the fact that you can't accept the fact that you reject the event, and so on, until you find on some level, acceptance and coming to terms with whatever is happening at that point in time, either externally or internally. And that gives you the footing to then resolve the entire situation. So this is the recently invented and patented Russian doll model of acceptance or surrender to the situation, or your reaction to the situation. I hope that helps, and I'll be back with more. Cheerio.